Hey there, how you doing? It's me, Michelle, and I'm just chilling on my floor. I'm going to get some photos done today. Why? Hey there. I just wanted to do something different. This is a different type of live stream, right? Normally I'm over there on the other end where I have my little podcast studio set up. And today I was like, no, I don't feel like doing that. I just feel like doing something different. So I thought, I'd do some photos because photos are becoming really important in my workflow these days now that I've got the whole AI listing situation happening here at Treecat. And photos become more important than ever, right? Because you've got to tell the story with your photos. And by the way, I hope you all are doing well today. I thought I'd also just have a little snack, maybe a little mukbang. Is mukbang still a thing? I don't know, but I'm really digging on the raspberries right now and blueberries. Somebody ate, unfortunately, I had some Trader Joe's breakfast burrito and I had two of them. Somebody went and ate them. I went and bought them yesterday and I was like, oh, I'm going to eat these tomorrow. So now I'm stuck with a little bit of raspberries and a little bit of almonds for my breakfast. I just hate it when people eat my stuff in the fridge. And then at the last minute, I realize I have nothing to eat for breakfast. So I guess you're probably wondering why I have a bunch of bras in back of me. It's because I sell bras. And a while ago, I bought a pallet. And the bras that I bought in that pallet were like lower, I don't say lower grade, but they were lower end bras. And so I've been reluctant to list them because it's like, are these going to be worth my time? Like $15 bras. They're new with tags. But now that I've got AI to help me, all I have to do is put the photo in and it makes the whole listing for me. Now it's like, well, it kind of is worth my time. So that's awesome. So let me go get a couple bras and let's get this party started because I have a lot of photos that I want to do coming up here. Got all these bras that I want to photograph. And I've got my two models. This is my regular size model and this is my plus size model. I don't know how you guys feel about naked models. I put some underwear on this lady. It's funny, it's funny how people think about bras, right? So I've been selling bras for quite a long time, mainly because they don't weigh a lot. And so they're easy to ship and I can offer free returns. And, it's not like I have a special interest in bras, to be honest with you, but it just kind of fit all my criteria when I was trying to get into a niche. I used to sell regular clothing, just clothing that I would source at the bins. And I found that to be too time consuming. And I also wanted to make sure that like with this whole shipping situation that I could just ship stuff really inexpensively. So that's why I got into the bras. And, there was just certain brands that seemed to sell better than others. And I don't know, it just kind of stuck. My main goal with the bras is just like, they're very lightweight and I don't have to do measurements. I was excited to not have to do measurements, right? Because with clothing, regular clothing, you do have to take quite an extensive number of photos. You have to do measurements. And with the bras, I don't have to do measurements. And they're very lightweight to ship. And now, unfortunately, the market's kind of tanked on the bras, but I think the market's tanked on like kind of everything. Just people are a little bit more strapped for cash these days. So, and the margins have kind of gone down for me on the bras. So I might look into selling some different categories in 2026, especially now that we've got the AI listing feature and it's just really easy to sell a bunch of one-offs because prior to that, I was just kind of selling similar from my items. I would get, semi-replenishable stuff and then I would just sell similar. on the semi-replenishables and reuse the same photos. But now I can branch out and I can feel a little bit less overwhelmed, you know, in terms of not having to look things up, and you know how it is when you're selling one-offs. It's a lot more work. But I'm finding that it's not as much as much work if I use the AI listing feature, which is really nice. So it kind of opens up a lot of opportunities for me personally, because I can, I can look at other categories, and I can look at, you know, uploading, you know, different things, you know, that aren't the same, right? Like, so I don't have to upload a bunch of the same items. I can upload things in different categories, and then the AI just recognizes what they are without any pre-configuration. It's pretty cool. So, but the thing is, you can't do a listing without photos, unless you're like the old me that was, you know, buying a bunch of semi-replenishables and then selling similar and reusing your photos. So what that led to was just like a pile of a bunch of one-offs that I wasn't listing. And actually I was getting to the point where I was like, with all these lower end bras, I was like, you know, maybe I'll just go onto Whatnot and sell these at cost. That's where I was going. I was just thinking, you know, I'll just sell these, get my money. But now I'm thinking, you know what? I don't have to do that. So I'm going to just get started and kind of walk you through my workflow. So like I said, with this lady, I put some underwear on her because people, you know, maybe there's kids watching. I don't know. It's really crazy. Like sometimes I'll get flagged on different social media for adult content. And I don't know why people would think this is adult content. I really don't. It kind of baffles me. But, you know, I don't want to, of course, get flagged for adult content. Anyways, my photography process is pretty simple. I just use a standard light box, and I love these sort of ones that are collapsible because I can move them from room to room, right? And I don't have to worry about, you know, having it in here. You know, I can move it to the other room if I want to watch a movie, if I don't feel like being down here. Sometimes it gets cold down here in the winter. Anyways, so I get my item, and I'll make sure that it is form fitted. So I might have to put, you know, something there. And I think it's a really good idea if you are working on a process that you storyboard it. So I'm the kind of person, I like to, you know, sort of, I don't know if you're weird like me and you like to think about things visually, but I like to have a storyboard in case I ever have to train people, because I've often trained people to come in and do photos for me. And so I have each category, I storyboard it, and I say, you know, the first shot is going to be a flat lay of the top of the item. Let's see, where's my phone? Here it is. I was going to use my phone. So, yeah, I'm doing the photos in just the regular photo app these days. I used to use Open Camera, but because I want to easily transfer my photos using Google Drive, it's a lot easier for me just to use the regular Google photo thing, the photo app. Even though it doesn't, my particular, because it's a little bit older of a phone, of a Android phone, a Google Pixel phone, it doesn't actually allow me to pre-configure it to shoot in square 1:1 aspect ratio. It will, and a lot of people have said they have, which is baffling. A lot of people have said they have the same exact Pixel phone that I have, and they are able to configure it to 1:1 aspect ratio. I'm not. I looked it up on, you know, Google as to why that is, and it apparently has something to do with your carrier and the location that you live in. But at some point, I'll be getting a better Google Pixel when this one dies. And I know that the newer ones do have the ability to configure I should probably put a little bit more light over here. The newer Pixel phones do have the ability to configure, there we go, things in 1:1 aspect ratio. So, but although, you know, Poshmark recently indicated that they want your photos in 5:4 aspect ratio, which is just, it's just a portrait mode, essentially. Anyways, so with my photos, I'm doing a flat lay, right? I'm doing the first photo. I'm doing each of the sides, doing side angles. I'm doing any particular details that might be on the photos. And then I'm going to hit the back part of the item, and I'm going to do a close-up of the clasp. And then I'm going to do a larger photo of the back. And then I take it off the mannequin, and I might do the inside, right? And I'm going to do the tag. And then if it's new with tags like this one, I am going to take pictures of the tag. And specifically, I want that UPC code, because now we do have the ability to show the UPC code when you're doing the listing for eBay. So this one's done. That didn't take too long at all. Let's try a plus size. I did a bunch of I have a bunch of plus size bras here that look pretty cute. All my one-offs. Now this one's going to go on Big Bertha, Big Betsy, as I call her, and I say that in the most loving way possible. Certainly not meant as any kind of a, you know, maybe I should call her Tiffany. I don't know. Well, anyways, she's cute. She's plus size, and she has lasted years. I just got it off Amazon, this particular mannequin, half mannequin. And I want to make sure that, you know, I took off this. This is the little top thing, because I think it looks a little unprofessional in the photos. Anyways, so yeah, I'm doing the sides. I'm doing the detail, which is the clasp, turning it over on the back. And sometimes with the bigger bras like this, these mannequins are not quite big enough. So I have to sort of do some pinning so that I can get a nice looking shot of the back part of the bra. And unfortunately, this is the biggest size half mannequin that I was able to find, unfortunately. And it doesn't really fit all of my bra sizes. Some of these bras, you know, can range in sizes 50 band size and up. And, you know, these half mannequins just don't come in, unfortunately, in bigger sizes. I think this one is like a size 18. So I have to just, you know, improvise, as they say. So I might also do just a flat lay without the mannequin. And then I'm going to go in with the tag. And the importance, it really is important to get those tags when you're doing these AI listings, because the AI will read all of that information and be able to put that in the listing, which is really important. So that's why as you start making your storyboards, you're going to make sure that you indicate, okay, you can change it when you start using the AI lister. You can do your storyboards, and then you can say, you know, I want to make sure that we have these included, because the AI, you know, and you circle it or whatever, and if a person's helping you with your listings, you let them know, hey, these are crucial. These are important. Anything with, it will recognize anything with text. And so, yeah, that's the importance. Photos become more important than ever, or they're becoming more important than ever, because they start to tell your story a little bit better for AI. And even if you're including stuff in your photos that are just for AI, and once you actually list it, or right before you list it, like in Treecat, you pull it into it gets, you get a draft in Treecat that the AI gives you. You can delete any of those photos that you're like, I don't think this is appropriate for my buyer. It was appropriate for AI to read the photos, but maybe it's not appropriate for my buyer. And then, like what I do, for example, is I will have all the photos that it needs, that the AI needs, and then before I launch it in Treecat, I will add in an AI generated photo. What I do is I take the photo on the half mannequin, the front facing photo, and I put that into ChatGPT, and I just tell it to place it on a model, and I give the size of the model, and I say optimize the photo, place it on a model. On this one, I'd say like a size 6 model, and optimize it for an eBay listing with professional lighting and white background, and please put it in a 1:1 aspect ratio. That's all I tell it. And I have a video on how to do this, actually. So if you're interested in learning how to do that, just by simply putting it into the AI, ChatGPT or what have you, whatever AI you use, maybe even Gemini. I haven't tried it with Gemini, but yeah, it's a picture that so you can edit stuff before you launch it, so you don't have to just give you what the AI puts in. You can change things around if you so choose. There we go. And so, but I do want to take special care to really get crisp, clear, clean photos of the tags as we're starting to, get into this AI era, where the more sort of detailed information that you're able to give the AI, the better the listing is that it's able to output for you. So there we go. All right. And I'm, when I'm doing this, like on the regular, I can get, really fast with it. But like right now, I'm sort of just like chillaxing and hanging out. And if you're hanging out with me, cool beans. And I hope you're going to have a really nice break this week. There's no kids right now in school, right? So if you have kids, you're probably like starting to get all excited about the holidays. And tomorrow is the darkest day of the year, right? It's winter solstice. So I like that day because it starts to get lighter and lighter after that day. That's why I like that day. Oh, another thing that you should probably remember to do is you should probably try to remember to clean your phone's camera lens. And I just take a little tiny dab of the Windex and I just kind of clean that. I don't know how often you guys clean your phone. I try to clean my phone every day, but sometimes the antibacterial stuff that I clean it with, like I clean it with one of those antibacterial wipes, sometimes that kind of smudges the actual camera lens. So you want to take a glasses cleaner and just make sure that's, and if you have one of those phones that has like multiple cameras, make sure all of your cameras are good to go, because I think crisp, clean, clear photos are really important. And I mean, I'm always, excuse me, I'm always so surprised when I'm kind of perusing eBay or Poshmark or Mercari, and I see photos that don't look great. I'm always really shocked about that, because, we're really in an era now where the discoverability is really important, right? Within the marketplaces themselves, and then outside of the marketplaces, like on Google, like on getting discovered on LLMs like ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever, like all the other ones that are out there. So yeah, I just don't. It just baffles me, and it could be that they're just older photos that people have, and like I myself have some older photos that I took a while back. I just keep reusing the photos, and they're not great, but luckily we've got the white background remover now in Treecat, and so I sometimes what I'll do is I'll delist it, fix the photos, and then relist it, and that makes it just a huge difference. Even just like taking out the background makes a huge difference, and it makes a difference from what we're being told, from Poshmark and from eBay and from Google. It makes a big difference with regards to discoverability. So I think that's something to think about. Hopefully my you can't hear my crunching and munching. Can you hear my crunching and munching, Mr. Treecat? I can see you. You can nod yes or no. Can't hear my crunching and munching? That's good. So what else? Well, as you're planning, your storyboard, it used to be that people would put in props. And they're saying that's not really, especially Poshmark is saying that's not okay anymore. Like they used to do like flat lays back in the day. People would do flat lays on like a white furry rug, and then they'd have like a, fern or something on the side. And sort of the guidance now is like, we don't want any props, right? But sometimes you might need some certain kind of props. So for example, when I have a plus size bra personally, and this will be, depending on what you sell, you'll have different needs for what you need, right? You might need to have a ruler, or what is this? Like a little, I don't know what they call this. It's kind of like a ruler. And you might need to have that to show context of how large it is. But anyways, if I have a larger plus size bra, sometimes, like I said, the size of the bra isn't really cutting it, because this is a smaller size than the bra is. So I might have like a 50D size bra, but my mannequin is only only size 18. So then what I might have to do is I might have to add a little something to fill out the cups. So you have to think in terms. These are my the boobs that I add to fill out the cups, and just to make the photo look a little bit better, right? So you will obviously know what you need for your category, and for each category, I like to have a photo story. And so this is my photo story for necklaces. Like, so I don't necessarily always print them out, but when I have someone else here helping me with photos, I do print them out. And it's just a guideline. It's just a guideline. Photo 1, front of mannequin, right? Photo 2, side. Photo 3, other side. And it's really helpful. If you've ever been involved in training, in any kind of training work within a corporation, you'll know that training documentation is very important, extremely important. And if you're dealing with people who are visual learners or work better by having, a picture in front of them, then I think these are very helpful. Now, somebody had said that they were concerned about doing photographing white on white. that there's not enough contrast to photograph white on white. I've had pretty good success photographing white on white and then using the white background remover. So I guess what I could do, if I find that those photos aren't turning out the way I want, these photo boxes come with a variety of colors, and I could swap out the white for taupe or black, and then do the white background remover when I go into Treecat and I'm fiddling around with my photos, right? And stuff like that. Let's see. But yeah, I've had pretty good success with the white background remover. So I'm not too concerned about using the white background remover and there not being enough contrast. But I do understand when people have concerns about that, because especially with items that are clear, like glassware, then you might definitely consider photographing on a taupe background, and then doing the white background remover, especially at least just the first photo, the hero photo. All right, so there we go. I have a lot of bridal items, bridal bras. Those do really well in spring. And I'm actually starting to think about, I pulled a bunch of my one-offs that are pink bras, because Valentine's Day is coming, right? Time to start thinking about getting all those Valentine's Day items ready, or start getting a delist relist campaign for some of those Valentine's Day items, right? I've even noticed in the stores that they're starting to have more, like the Christmas stuff is we're only like about a week away from Christmas, and they're already done with Christmas in the stores. Everything, all the Christmas stuff is 75% off already, and they've moved on to the Valentine's Day stuff. So there we go. That's done and done. So what I like about doing the bras, it's just really they're so much easier to photograph than jeans or dresses. When I do jeans and dresses, like every once in a while, I'll find something and I'll be like, this is worth my time, right? I'll have to set up a backdrop with a series of a bunch of lighting, and then I'll have to make sure that I also have my light box for all the detail shots. So it's just like one extra step. So that's why I'm not as excited about doing clothing anymore. But also it's a little bit it's more expensive to ship jeans, and although now with Ground Advantage, maybe it wouldn't be that bad. It just seems like if you're shipping to, I'm all the way over on the West Coast, and if I'm shipping to the East Coast, like several zones away, it can be pricey, right? And I was getting to a point where I was like, I'm going to do flat rate shipping. I'm going to try flat rate shipping for everything, because then it'll my items will index on Google, right? It'll index better off-site. But then I'm like starting to lose money on that. So I don't know. I did an A/B test on that, and I think if I'm going to continue to do it, I'm going to have to raise the prices on the flat rate shipping. So that means that people that are close to me in Washington or California, Oregon, it's going to be maybe a little bit more pricey for them, right? So I don't know. Maybe I'll have to do the math a little bit better and really do some analysis on how to make that work, because it's definitely worth it to get get a ranking, right? To get your item ranked off-site for sure, right? Because that's a whole other cadre of buyers that you want. You want to be ranked off on Google. You want to be ranked, or you want to be discoverable on LLMs. Pardon me. So yeah, I'm gonna need to do a little, maybe, hopefully this next coming week, I'll have a little bit more time to sort of think about some strategies for 2026. You know, maybe I really do the rest of change the rest of my listings, and I can do that, of course, with the bulk on Treecat. Treecat has a bulk editing feature, and I can go and I can change the policy on those to the flat rate. I already made a flat rate shipping. I think I would just edit it to make it more expensive. Although after the holidays, the shipping price is going to go down by what, 40 cents, I believe. So I think it'll definitely be a better time to experiment with that again and make some changes, and maybe I'll make my whole catalog flat rate and just make sure that I've got the pricing right so that I'm not losing money on my West Coast items. I don't know, we'll see. Anyways, having a little bit more of my breakfast here, but yeah, I'm excited about having some time off. Although I really, I really don't get any time off, right? I'm on call all the time in case something comes up with Treecat. But it'll be less busy because people will be on vacation. We noticed that with Thanksgiving too. That week of Thanksgiving, people were traveling. It was a little bit of a break, which is nice. But yeah, let's get some more photos done. Let's see here. Do I want to do another white one? Maybe a purple one? This one might be kind of challenging because, like I said, these mannequins are kind of like one size, and the bras are various sizes. So for something like this, where the cups might not be, well, that might work. Unfortunately, I don't have these guys in a smaller size. I maybe should get some of those in a smaller size, but I only use those for the plus size bras. So let's see here. What do we think of that? Oh, shoot. Try that again. Yeah, I mean, I'm alive, awake, semi-awake, alert, semi-alert, and enthusiastic, or at least getting there. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right. And I always feel like a little bit of energy drink doesn't hurt when you're doing a marathon photography session, right? What I really like to do is just put on a movie. I usually end up doing my photography in my living room because I can just put on a movie and just zone out and really get a ton of stuff done. And so some days when I have a little bit of extra spare time, I'll just do that, you know, make that a priority. Is just, I've been doing this more and more, making my photographs the priority so that I have, you know, more list, because I'm really enjoying the using the AI listing feature. It's a big time saver. Okay. Let's see here. Let's do a photo of the inside. Let's do the tags, because we want as much information as we can get. And like I said, you don't have to, once you have the listing done and it's in Treecat, then you can take out or add in whatever you want. You can edit it before you list it. Bam, that's done. And one thing we just added yesterday is the UPC code. So if you have items that are new with tags, or new with imperfections, or open box, if you take pictures of the UPC code, it'll put that information in there, which is really nice. It comes in handy, you know. I think that if it's a new with tags item, you know, it's going to, that information in the item specifics, and any additional pieces of information that you can supply to the item specifics are going to be used to your advantage in terms of getting a higher ranking, right? Oops. Let's redo the clasp back there. Do we even need, oops. Oh shoot, this thing got stuck. There we go. Do we even need to, yeah, I think I will. And you know, the reason that I make these storyboards is because when I have people come and photograph for me, I'm never fully satisfied with the way they do photos. I kind of always like my photos better, but I had to relinquish some control so that I could have more time in my day. And so I will continue to have people help me with my photos, because I am pulled into a lot of directions, and it's just not tenable for me to, like, this week things are a little slow, so I have the time, but in reality, you know, I normally don't. So I do have to outsource some of my photos. And so, there we go. And so yeah, it becomes important to have sort of documented training or documented processes, so that because people aren't going to be mind readers, especially, you know, people that don't do this, you know, as they're not like professional photographers. They're just kind of like people that you're hiring to take photos, right? I wouldn't say I'm hiring professional photographers to help me with this. I'm just hiring, honestly, it's my daughter. My daughter comes and helps me with my photos. So I need to make sure that she has the information that she needs to do a successful listing, right? She's not a mind reader. She's not a professional photographer, although she does have, you know, some experience doing photography. But, you know, product photography for you know, eBay, e-commerce is very different than portrait photography, or, you know, family portraits, or even event photography, or even catalog product photography, of course, is quite expensive and takes quite a bit of skill, obviously, and expertise. And so, you know, I would say that e-commerce photography, perhaps, unless you're private labeling, or private labeling specifically to have, you know, your own consumer packaged good item, then you're going to want to probably hire a professional. But for this type of stuff, you can hire people that aren't necessarily professional photographers, as long as you give them the information that they need. And I personally think that this will do the trick, having a storyboard. I call it a storyboard, but you can call it a recipe, whatever you want to call it. But I do think that, you know, giving them direction is helpful. And it's been helpful for all of the people that I've hired. And I've hired people prior to working with my daughter on the photos. And, you know, so it's sort of always the same story. They do need some additional direction, but pretty much, you know, with cell phones these days, it's just amazing the quality of photos that you can get with cell phones these days. You know, it's almost, I mean, and so really anybody can be a photographer, really. I mean, if you kind of know what you're doing, it's absolutely amazing, the quality of photos. I mean, when I first started eBay, oh gosh, I had a very primitive 1 megapixel Sony digital camera. It was the first digital camera I ever had. This is back in like 2002. And I was amazed at the photos that you could take with it, right? The computer just did, it was a mirrored camera. It was a really good camera. It was like this, and then you would flip it. It was a Sony. I wish I could remember the brand, the model number, because it was such a good camera. But unfortunately, I dropped it one too many times and the mirror broke. So then I upgraded to a Nikon Coolpix. I think this was back in like 2017 when I started, because I've done eBay off and on for many years, but it wasn't until 2017 when I started thinking seriously, like, hey, like I kind of want to like be around for my kids while they're like in junior high time frame. If you have young teenager kids, you know what I'm talking about, right? That's the time when you want to be around. And which just wasn't working out for me to work outside of the home, because there was just a lot of driving that needed to take place, you know. And you think about it, when they're in middle school, there's 15 weeks out of the year that you have to, that they're not going to be in school, right? There's all of summer, there's all the breaks, there's midwinter break, there's, you know, a week for Thanksgiving, a week, 2 weeks for the Christmas holiday break. And then there's all these days where they have teacher in-service days. And then in addition to that, you've got half days. We have half days on Wednesday, or when my kids were in school, there was a half day on Wednesday. So they would get out at like 12 or 1. And so it really, and they don't have, and once they get into junior high, they can't do like aftercare, right? Like, so when my kids were little, we had them in aftercare because I was in school at the time. And so when they get into middle school, you definitely want to be around, or at least I did. I was like, I'm going to keep an eye on these kids, right? And so what was my point with all this? So I started thinking I'd like to be around more and not work outside of the home and stuff like that around 2017. And then I got the Coolpix camera, that Nikon Coolpix camera. And unfortunately that got dropped. That was a mirrored camera, and that got dropped. That was a really interesting camera that had this like huge zoom capacity, but it wasn't like the super high, it wasn't a super high resolution like we have now. You know, and it's just, anyways, my point was these cell phones are just absolutely amazing. I have a really cheap Pixel, and you know, it's a low end Pixel. It's not one of the really high end ones, and it still takes really amazing photos, just to be honest with you. As long as I have enough lighting, and honestly, with this light box, this provides all the lighting that I need for most of the time, because then I can go into the, I can do the white background remover. I can actually increase the brightness a little bit. I can crop. And so, you know, just doing those little things really makes the photos really kind of, I don't want to say they stand out from the pack, but, you know, you can really make some really nice professional looking photos just with a cell phone and a light box and some tools, some white background tools, some crop tools, some leveling tools. One of the things that I asked our devs at Treecat to put into the photo editing tools was a leveler, because sometimes, you know, I'm taking these photos and I'm not always, you know, the pictures aren't always completely level. And so I asked them to put in that leveler, and that's been a little bit helpful, because I can just adjust it like one little tiny bit and then recrop it. So that's been helpful. But yeah, it's just amazing the level of photos, and it does everything for you. So like back in the day when I was using my Nikon Coolpix, you still have to adjust the white balance. You still have to adjust, all the settings. You'd have to do the aperture settings. You'd have to do the speed settings. What are those called? Anyways, you'd have to do all these various settings, but you don't really have to do that with a cell phone. It kind of does it all for you. It's kind of like magical the way it sort of just focuses everything for you. I ended up, getting a better camera with like autofocus. I have a Sony, and it does like autofocus, which is really nice. It has a little joystick that you can, and I use that for other stuff. Like I use that for when I sometimes I'll still do portrait photography for friends and family. But you have to do all the settings with light balance. You have to do all the settings with your aperture and your shutter speed, and you have to set everything, right? But when you don't necessarily have to do that, you can just, with the cell phone, you can just tell it, this is portrait, or this is sports mode, or this is, dark at nighttime mode. It's just amazing. And then, even the photo editing tools, like I used to have to use Lightroom. I'd have to pull everything into Lightroom and adjust the white balance. And one of the things that, I was gonna do this and I totally forgot. I had this gray card that really helps. And what I think I'm gonna start doing is you just buy this little card. It's like this neutral gray color. You can put your item here and take one photo with the gray card. Just set the gray card down, and this is like this neutral gray card, and the phone or the camera sees that neutral gray card, and it makes it so that you don't have to worry about white balance. Because honestly, to be honest, the phone does a really good job figuring out the white balance. I don't even have to do any white balance settings. I know you can make adjustments to white balance if you want. Like if it's not very, like you can make things warmer or lighter, but I kind of like the idea of grabbing my gray card, and it's just like this big, right? And putting it down and taking that first shot with the gray card. And you don't have to use that shot. That shot can be a throwaway shot. It's just for the camera to get the color right. And one of the things that I've noticed is if I don't use the light box, like one time I had two people helping me with photos, and I only had two light boxes at the time. And so the third person, we set up just a flat lay backdrop outside. And those photos, because I thought the sun would give enough light, but those photos turned out very blue. And and then I had to go in and color correct them all and adjust the tint. So yeah, you got to be careful when you're taking photos outdoors. It's probably better if you can to use, I have a bunch of soft boxes. You can't see them because they're what's lighting me right now, but I have a bunch of soft boxes. And if you don't have, a light box, you can get just a white backdrop and then have a few soft boxes, and then maybe have a ring light. It's just a lot more equipment to set up, right? But you'll probably get better results using lighting, right? Because it's the color, right? So when you're selling clothing, you want to make sure that you're getting the colors right, because you don't want to get eye nads. So just something to keep in mind, right? Just all these little things to remember. But gosh, yeah, the cell phone these days is just absolutely amazing. And this is just even the cheap, the cheapest, probably $300. I don't know even if it was $300. It was just really a very cheap cell phone. And I'm just constantly amazed year after year, the quality, of the megapixels, how many, there's phones right now that have 50 megapixels. Isn't that incredible? That's just absolutely incredible. Regular cameras with 100 megapixels, those are becoming slightly more common, right? I think the latest Fuji, their high end had like 100 megapixels. I used to be really into Fujifilm cameras. I had the X-T2, X-T4, X-T5. Those are some really good cameras, but they weren't full frame. They were they weren't micro four thirds. They weren't full frame, and I needed a full frame camera. Honestly, sometimes I think the photos that I get with this are just easier, quicker, and better than what I could get on a using my Sony. You know, I thought about, oh, should I just use my, because now that I'm, kind of batching my photos and I'll take just like a few hours to start doing a bunch of photos, batch up a bunch of photos. And then I was thinking, well, maybe I should it'd be easier just to go back to using my regular camera, my mirrorless Sony, and then taking out the card and then popping that in to transfer the data. But honestly, I would have had to buy a new lens, a lens that would be very wide angle to, because I have more, I have lenses that are fast lenses and zoom lenses. I don't really have anything under 24. I would have had to get like a 12 millimeter lens or something like that. When you're working with the cell phone, I don't know what the cell phone is, probably like 12 or something like that, because it works perfectly. And I was like, why do I need to invest in a new lens, right, when I can just use my cell phone? And honestly, the cell phone has not done me wrong. And if I was taking a little bit more time with my settings, I could even probably do a better job with going in and doing some settings, like even just basic settings. Like I could fiddle with the white balance a little bit if I needed to. If I was seeing that the colors weren't right, I could increase the brightness. And then it does something with shadows, which I don't know about that. I don't think that's necessarily. I'm not too concerned about shadows. But yeah, I could definitely see myself maybe doing some white balance adjustments or some brightness adjustments, just to kind of make it so that maybe I wouldn't have to do any photo editing or very little photo editing, or maybe just with the hero photo. So just taking that one hero photo and doing the white background for the hero photo. It's just all about sort of having processes that you can replicate and that you can have make things go a little bit quicker and easier for you, right? And just consistency with your items. So hopefully that'll give you some ideas on what to do with your photos. Maybe put together a storyboard, even just for yourself, so that you can remember, oh yeah, well, when I'm doing necklaces, I want to make sure I hit all these angles and make sure I add in a penny and I add in some reference points so that we know what size things are and the AI can pick that stuff up. So yeah, I think I'm going to continue to make these little storyboards for myself and for the people that I have come and help me with the photos. So yeah, that's probably what I'll do, is I'll just keep, as I learn, as I continue to learn. I have so much stuff that I want to sell some of this stuff in my garage that I've been saving for years. I have all these like Madame Alexander dolls that I don't know why I've been saving them. People gave me them when I was really little. I was like, but then they wouldn't let me play with them. So they'd give me these dolls, these collectible dolls, and then they would say, you can't play with them. What's the point, right? So I have these Madame Alexander dolls. I've never played with them. I'm sure they're at least, I think they're probably not worth that much, but they're probably worth something. I don't know why I've been saving them. I have a bunch of stuff, and the thing is, like, why? Why am I keeping all this stuff? So, and it's free inventory. So, and it's a bit less overwhelming when to list this stuff, when I can just take the photos and have the AI recognize what it is and fill out make a optimized title description and fill out 75% of the item descriptions, what do you call it, the item specifics. So I there's just a bunch of stuff that I have stockpiled. I have a bunch of underwear, like new with tags underwear that I got, and I was like, is this even worth my time listing? I can probably bundle it up, and I think these will be pretty awesome. I wonder what you guys are thinking of doing for the new year. You're going to do anything different with your listing? I'm excited to try, and I'm less overwhelmed to try some new categories that, prior to the AI listing feature, I would have been like, is this worth my time? I don't know. But like, for example, I have all this underwear, and I was like seriously thinking, I'll just go, on I'll just go on what do you call it, Whatnot, and just blow these out just for what I paid for them. But it's just like, because it's like all I would have to do for the photos on these is the front, the back, and maybe the side. That's it. That's 3 photos. And the AI is going to pick up all the information, right? I've got all these Spanx, front, back, and that's it. All I would have to do is a front photo and a back photo. That's it. So yeah, I'm going to get started on these. And these, they're not high value. They're not super like expensive items, but you know what? It's worth my time because I only have to do 2 photos now. Take 2 freaking, sorry for my French. 2 photos, upload it in, have the AI do the whole listing. It's totally worth my time. So, I just have all these lower cost things that would only, I really got to start getting going on these. That's it. 2 photos, maybe a top photo. That's it. 3 photos, and bam, can have the AI list everything for me. 1, 2. I think that's going to be my next category. And honestly, I don't even think I need a storyboard for something like that, because it's just literally 1, 2. Let's do it right now. I'm getting excited actually, because this one's like a absolute kind of no-brainer situation, right? 1, 2, 3. That's it. Done. 1, 2, 3. Boom. So yeah, a lot of people are doing a lot of like getting into media and books and stuff like that because they don't have to do as many photos. And I get that. And so this might be my version of, a quick and easy, list, right? Quick and easy listing. Let's put this in the back there so we can get the top part. Boom, 3. That's it. 3 photos. Boom. Boom. So I think in terms of this will increase my hourly rate because I'm not having to spend as much time with these photos, right? There we go. Boom, done. And now I don't have to go on Whatnot and sell these for what I paid for them. I could maybe actually make a profit with these. It's kind of exciting, right? Kind of cool. Because sometimes when you buy these pallets, these were a result of, they came in a big pallet of intimate apparel. And yeah, I was like, what am I going to do with these? These are like, some of them are like open box, right? And it's kind of like, well, what am I going to do with these open box items? But now I'm thinking, you know what? Bam, let's get these going. Let's get some of these guys listed, because honestly, I've just been taking up space in my area. And if I can get these guys listed, pictures done and listed in a very efficient way, you know, then it makes absolute sense to me. I totally forgot about these. If you want me to be honest with you, I forgot I even had these. And that's the thing. I've got stuff stockpiled that, you know, prior to 2 weeks ago, I thought, what the heck am I going to do with this stuff? You know, like it's not worth my time to list it. But now it is worth my time to list it, because honestly, it's just a matter of getting these things photographed, and yeah, maybe make sure we have the UPC code there so that the AI can scan that UPC code. Because even with the open box, or new without tags open box, you can put the UPC in those items, which is really cool. Oops. And so actually what I might consider, if I keep listing these, is having some kind of a stand. So that might be my prop that I utilize for this one. And also I'm noticing that I'm getting a little bit of glare. And so what I might do is I might need to get one of those cones that reduces glare. I don't know if you guys have seen those, but there are these circular cones that you can put inside your light box. Or the other thing I could do is I could also put some wax paper underneath the lights to make it a little bit less, to make it a little bit more muted. I think that would probably be the thing that I would try for items like this, where you're getting a little bit of glare in the photos. So yeah, it's interesting to see, you know, with these new categories, right? I haven't sold these before, so this will be a new category. And, you know, it'll be interesting to see how I evolve with these different categories, and what I'm going to need with the different categories. Do I just stick with the photos where, you know, there's a little bit of glare, or do I retake them with a cone, get one of those cones, or I could even make a cone myself, or putting the wax paper up here, like, and making it so that it's a little bit more mutes or I could even probably just take some wax paper and build it into a cone. I mean, I'm just thinking of the possibilities to reduce that glare a little bit. Yeah, if you Google photo anti-glare cone, you'll see that there are products out there that people sell for professional photography, for when you do like, you know, professional product photography, that those cones are really helpful in reducing glare. I don't know if I want to invest in like a $50 cone, but for some of these items, and I might just sort of DIY something. You can do stuff like that. You know, you don't need to invest $50 if you know that you're, you know, may not. Let me grab a couple more of these guys. There we go. Yeah, I hope these will do well in the new year, or, you know, because I think people start looking to buy in the new year. They start looking to buy basics again. So I'm actually kind of excited about selling some more of my sort of basics, right? Because I sell a lot of basics. And during the holidays, people are not necessarily looking for basics, right? They want giftable items. But if I can if I can get a bunch of these up, and I will, thanks to the AI listing feature of Treecat, if I can get a bunch of these up for the new year, I think that's going to be to my advantage, if I'm just being totally honest. And I think I'm going to have a good Q1 because, boy, my listing velocity is just starting to really take off. And with the AI listing, just makes the listing velocity so much quicker. Let me grab a couple more of these things. So yeah, you might find yourself even starting to sort of rethink what you're selling, you know, and rethink what categories you want to be in. I don't know, maybe I'll order another one of these. Initially I wasn't super excited about the intimate apparel palettes that I was getting, because I was like, they're kind of low cost items and one-offs. If you are doing one-off listings, and you're spending all that time with a new category, like new item, like that you're having to research, it's kind of a pain in the butt. But that kind of goes away when you're using an AI lister. And so you're thinking, you know, actually, this might work for me. This might work for me. Because I was actually just going to blow like I said, I was just going to blow these out on Whatnot. I like live selling, but it does take more time. And it's just time that I don't personally have. So I haven't been as active. I haven't been very active on Whatnot recently. And it's a little bit overwhelming to think about building an audience and all the stuff that it takes to build an audience, you know. It takes a lot of time and effort and a lot of time that I don't have, you know. As much as I love Whatnot and the possibilities, right, for sales velocity on Whatnot, my gosh, you could make bank in like a weekend. So if you're in a situation where, you know, you need to make some quick money, I mean, I think that's as good as way of any is, you know. But the thing is, I also really like static selling. Static selling really has its pluses, you know, it really does. I've always really enjoyed static selling. But I know that, you know, live selling is kind of the future, isn't it? Live selling is kind of where everybody's going. So we wanted to make sure that we were offering live selling to our customers, because, you know, it's important. It's important to make sure that the sellers, you are where the sellers are, where the buyers are, right? But the issue with Whatnot is just that, you know, you do need to sell quite cheaply. I think the Whatnot buyer is really focused on the deals, the bargains. They really want those bargains. So you have to make sure you're sourcing in such a way that you can bear that, right? You can bear the price that you're going to sell it at. You need to have those margins. So you have to source differently. I really think you have to be able to source differently for Whatnot than you would for static selling. You know, static selling, you might be able to have a little bit difference in your margins. You know, you might be able to things can perhaps sit a little bit longer. But if you're trying to make that quick money, I think Whatnot is definitely the way to go, right? It's just a different business model. It's just a completely different business model. And I think there's room in the world for all different types of sellers, right? Let's get the UPC code on there. There we go. All right, I got one more. Men's underwear. Looks like it might be missing something. No, 2 pair. There we go. Excellent. Well, gosh, got about, I don't know, 30, 40 listings done, and got a little bit of ranting done. It's always fun, right? A little bit of a different live stream today. Well, if you guys want to give me a thumbs up, that'd be cool. Give me a subscribe, that'd be awesome. Hope you guys have a nice Christmas week. And yeah, hope you, if you're going to be working this week, cool. Most people aren't. It's just a nice time to like rest and relax. Gosh, have I been on an hour and 13 minutes already? Gosh, the time has flown, hasn't it? The time has really flown by. And now I'm noticing that like I'm starting to get low on my battery. So I might have to wrap this up because I didn't plug anything in. Everything's just all running on battery. So this was a new type of live stream. And I know that like the lighting was weird. So every time I would move, like the lighting would go dark, right? So it's a little bit different. But every once in a while, you just want to, you know, mix things up and do something different. And do a little mukbang. And mix it up, right? So guys, I'm going to wrap it up because like it's already 10:30 and I'd like to go to yoga at 11. So thank you for watching this experimental live stream. Hope you learned something. Hope you had fun. If you're working with me, if you're co-working, right on. Give me that thumbs up. What do they call it? A hype? Give me a hype. I would appreciate that. And we'll see you next time on Treecat Chat. I think we will be going live next weekend. Check out our Reddit. You know how to contact us if you're a Treecat user, right? So feel free to contact us if you have any questions, concerns, what have you. And until next time, guys, take care and mahalo. And have a great week. Have a great Christmas week. We'll see you next time on Treecat Chat.